Don't talk over me.
No,
as
no,
early
you're
as
talking over me.
2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as
I'm not your pal.
2019.
Don't call me
Whistleblowers came to, well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Doesn't know what you're talking about,
Oh,
sir.
no, sir. You now have encountered the truth and you don't like it. Why'd you take their money? Why'd you take their money?
I didn't.
You took $10,000.
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000.
And 2 people are dead because you encouraged them to put themselves into harm's way. And now you're exploiting those 2 martyrs. That was a tragedy. It never should have happened. A tragedy was going to happen, and you encouraged it. And you ought to feel damn guilty about it. Yeah, sit there and smirk. Smirk. It's sick. It is despicable. You disgusting.
What is going on, everyone? We need to talk about what happened yesterday. Keith Ellison, Minnesota's Attorney General, the state's top cop, the guy whose entire job is to prosecute fraud, just absolutely got obliterated in front of the entire country. I mean, this dude was destroyed.
And Attorney General Ellison, under your watch, unfortunately, Minnesota has achieved the largest COVID fraud scheme in American history.
I find it disgusting that we would have a witness who's the Attorney General of a state that will not condemn the fact that somebody said that Judaism is a dirty religion. The fact that we have a witness of that low caliber here before the United States Congress is an insult to this institution.
So over the last couple of months, we've been talking about the fraud epidemic in Minnesota. Billions stolen from programs meant to feed hungry kids and help people with disabilities. And every time I ask, where are the people responsible for this? The answer kept coming back with 2 names, Tim Walz and Keith Ellison. Well, Republican senators just asked Ellison those same questions under oath on camera, and a lot of times he couldn't really answer them. Let's get into it. We need to continue to talk about the scale of the fraud that we're talking about here. Minnesota is now home to the largest COVID-era fraud scheme in American history. We're talking about $9 billion and fraudulent claims across multiple programs. We already talked about the Feeding the Future. We talked about that as well. Amy Bach, the woman at the center of Feeding Our Future, she already said that, hey, I think some of these state officials knew about the fraud. Whistleblowers were sounding alarms as early as 2018. We discussed the latest audit just a couple of days ago, flagging about 90% of autism programs claims as suspicious. So while all this fraud is happening, what do we see? We see all types of issues where innocent people are getting hurt, innocent people who are disabled getting kicked out of their homes. All this going on while the 2 main people, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, where was the Attorney General while billions were being stolen? That's why senators went in as hard as they did. So let's watch them cook them.
Let's try another question. Are you familiar with the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone? You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them. And you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
Every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look.
Obviously, you
said, it's not a question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names. And I'll take that list and I'll call the person over at Education who is investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then he went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who are investigating the fraud. Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Please, we're all ears.
So first of all, you're cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help them?
I thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you help them?
Are you going to let me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do that.
That'd be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Now see, Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them? The quotes are here. They're in black and white, and every member of this audience can listen to the recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
And listen to it all.
Why did you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help them.
No, I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for them. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them. No, you did not.
No,
You didn't
because
lift a finger
it
to
was a
prosecute
federal
them.
prosecution.
You had, BS. You had whistleblowers.
The only way we can protect what we have is by inserting ourselves into the political arena, putting our votes where it needs to be, but most importantly, putting our dollars in the right place and supporting candidates that will fight to protect our interests.
That's right. Just getting the question, just getting the inquiry from the AG is sometimes enough to make people knock it off.
Now, I don't see how Keith Ellison continues to be Attorney General. Definitely should not get reelected. You see exactly what happened with the Feeding Our Future situation that happened in December 11th, 2021. They came to the man's office, complained about investigators for an hour, and Ellison said, and this is on tape, send me the names of the investigators. I'll call and see what's going on. He literally told the fraudsters, I already have my team working on this. So when this senator is asking, why did you help him? Ellison could not answer. He just said, well, you're cherry picking quotes. There's a 54-minute recording. You can't cherry pick 54 minutes of you helping fraudsters. Let's talk about the money. So 9 days after that meeting, this is reported that Keith Ellison took $10,000 from the people connected to the Feeding Our Future. Those same people would be later indicted for fraud. But don't worry, I'm sure it was just a coincidence, right? Let's see what another senator has to say about Ellison's performance.
Billions of tax dollars intended for unemployment insurance, supporting hungry children, just as described, children with autism, providing housing for the most vulnerable, keeping small businesses afloat through COVID, and more were instead, all of those dollars were funneled away into fraudulent schemes. So last month in an interview with CNN, you were asked if your office has done enough to stop the fraud. And you responded, of course we've done enough. And this is a quote, of course we've done enough. And we're doing more every single day. This is a political matter. This is not a serious thing. Those are your words.
They are.
How do I go back to my hardworking brother and my hardworking sister and every other American who's going out there and then sending their taxpayer dollars to Washington, D.C., only to have it squandered away in fraud? How do we respond to them? And how do we recoup those dollars from these programs that Minnesota should have been overseeing?
Senator Ernst, thank you. I really do believe that you're sincerely, earnestly trying to look out for taxpayer dollars. And I'm here to tell you that, of course, we're here to hold people accountable who commit fraud. I've prosecuted and convicted over 300 people since I've been the AG for Medicaid fraud. So I'm with you when you're trying to protect the public dollar. What I was saying in that interview is that rather than coming together on a bipartisan basis to stop fraud, the matter has been turned into a political football, which I bet you probably would agree it shouldn't be. We should come together to protect the public dollar, and it shouldn't be somebody's campaign ad. What we should do is do it together. So what are we doing? First of all, you should know that I can only prosecute crimes that the county attorney gives me or that the governor assigns me. I do not have authority to just prosecute anybody.
Of course we done enough. This is not a serious thing. I mean, it's hard to read that back, but Minnesota has the largest COVID fraud scheme in American history. Billions stolen from programs for hungry kids, kids with autism, vulnerable people. And Keith Ellison goes on and says, of course we done enough. This is not a serious thing. The taxpayers must be screaming right now. And then, and this is the part that really got me, the senator asked him what he's done about it. And he admits, I can only prosecute crimes that my county attorney gives me or the governor assigns me. So hold on a second. You're telling me that the state attorney general is sitting around waiting for permission to prosecute the biggest fraud in state history? And your defense is, well, I need the governor to assign it to me. Well, it looks like he's thrown his governor underneath the bus, because we all know the governor is Tim Walz, and Tim Walz hasn't assigned it to you. So what does that tell the rest of us? It tells us that both of them were fine just letting this whole situation ride. But let's keep going, because this gets even more embarrassing.
They are canceling detainers. Do you remember anybody coming to you and saying they're canceling detainers?
I remember we had a robust conversation around a range of issues, and what we did is evaluated Minnesota law and shared that information.
And what I mean by that is, under the Biden administration, Mayorkas and everybody that was working on immigration started systematically breaking down the border. And not only that, which allowed for the 11 million to 20 million people to come in, not only that, they started telling law enforcement officials around the nation that had in their custody people here illegally committing crimes, don't hold them anymore. We're going to abandon precedent that used to be done under Democratic and Republican presidential administrations, and we're going to stop holding people here illegally committing crimes. Don't detain them, because that's not our policy anymore. So what did I do as the top law enforcement official in the state of Florida, as the Attorney General? I sued the Biden administration immediately and fought back, because my law enforcement officials had the trust in me that I would fight for the safety of our communities. It just came out recently, after we had to bear the absolute devastation to this country as it related to immigration and crimes in our community under the Biden administration, that the Trump administration said that we have gotten out of your state tens of thousands of people here illegally with criminal backgrounds. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm sorry, are you asking me if committing crimes is a bad thing? The answer is yes.
Trump administration said they have removed from your state 10,000 people that were here illegally that had criminal backgrounds. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If you're asking me are you asking me to rely on what the Trump administration has said?
Assume it is true, because I think you're going to debate me on this. They have removed tens of thousands of people across the country that are here illegally, that have committed crimes. They have a criminal background. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I agree with the general premise that we should remove the worst of the worst who are not authorized to be in the United States who commit crimes.
So this senator is a former attorney general, just like Ellison, so she knows exactly what the job entails. And what she just exposed the difference between a real AG and whatever the hell Keith Ellison is doing. See, when Biden canceled immigration detainers in 2021, what did Moody do as Florida's AG? She sued the federal government immediately. She fought for her state. She backed up her own law enforcement. What did Ellison do? He issued legal opinions that made it harder for local law enforcement to cooperate with federal authorities. And then January 2026, he literally said on camera, we're not going to help the Trump administration. And as a result, Minnesota has 7 counties out of 87 that cooperate with immigration enforcement. And obviously in Florida, all of them do. It's a tale of 2 states, a tale of 2 attorney generals. One state has an AG that's fighting for public safety, and then the other is just an AG who's, well, we'll just say his priorities are elsewhere. And speaking of priorities, let's go into the next senator that really just exposed just how twisted Ellison's logic has become.
Do you think that people who are here in this country illegally, meaning they either entered illegally or overstayed a visa, should be deported? Yes, simple yes or no.
The rule of law, yes.
Mr. Ellison?
Do they have an asylum petition pending?
You get your microphone.
If they have a pending asylum petition, I think it should be heard. If they have some basis for their presence in the country, I think ordinary due process should take place.
Yeah, it's just from my perspective, simple. I'm not a big shot lawyer like you. Just a quick question. If you enter the country illegally or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
My simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay, so if somebody breaks into your home, should they be arrested for breaking and entering, or does it depend?
It's an entirely different scenario.
How's that?
Because immigration is essentially a civil, and the breaking into my home is a criminal matter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So if there's laws that should be enforced, so we shouldn't enforce civil violations?
We absolutely should enforce them.
But you just said that it's a civil matter, so it's different. So if somebody
you enforce
creates
civil matters.
So if somebody commits a civil infraction, it shouldn't be enforced?
It should be.
Okay, so they should be deported.
No, they should have due process that is associated with their petition. So,
Okay,
for example,
so the act of entering the country illegally, you think we should say, well, did you really do it or not do it? It's pretty obvious that they did, right?
well, I mean, it would depend on the facts of the situation, and then they might say,
I just gave you the facts. They
Right, but-
entered the country without permission.
but Senator, what if they had a good faith basis to say they would be persecuted in their home country and subjected to real oppression there under international law? There are provisions for them to make a case.
That's a phenomenal point. Mexico and Canada, do you consider those to be safe countries or no?
Generally, I do, but there are certain
generally you do?
circumstances. Well, I mean, I'll just say this.
You border Canada. Don't insult your neighbors to the north.
No, I love my neighbors to the north.
Well, so
but
is it a generally safe country?
generally, yes.
So then
but-
somebody seeking asylum could certainly be safe in Canada and Mexico, no?
Now, so like if somebody, we do know that in Mexico, which is another country I truly admire and think it's a wonderful country, but there have been cases of persecution, people who have legitimate
So
fear.
people aren't safe in Mexico? Refugees cannot be safe in Mexico?
Some might not be.
It actually is pretty staggering that the easiest question that I could possibly ask is confusing for the two of you. I mean, that's decently disgusting, and I'm going to tell you why from my perspective. I wasn't born in this country. My mom and dad had to follow the rules to bring me and my 6 siblings into the United States, and I find it disgusting that the two of you guys want to reward people who skip the line, pay drug cartel members to smuggle them across the border, are coached to say exactly the right words when they hit Border Patrol.
So you need to understand how insane this whole situation is. So the senator is asking a very simple question. If someone enters the country illegally, should they be deported? And Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, says, you know what? It depends. So the senator used the analogy of someone breaking into your home. If someone breaks into your home, should they be arrested or does it depend? And Ellison says, well, that's different because immigration is a civil matter. I mean, just because something is technically a civil violation doesn't mean we don't enforce it. We enforce civil violations all the time. Building codes, health regulations, zoning laws. You don't just get to just ignore the law because it's not criminal. But obviously the Attorney General is in a progressive state, so he's going to say what progressives want to hear. And that's the reason why there was so much people fighting and literally dying in Minnesota because of the state's issue and their stance with illegal immigration. And this is why the Trump administration was there for so long being so aggressive, because they believe that federal law trumps state law. But we got one more clip, and this one shows you exactly where Keith Ellison's priorities really are.
Who's Victoria Harwell? Because you haven't said her name. I'm just curious who she is.
Is there a question you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, who is she?
As I understand it, she's a very unfortunate, tragic victim of a crime.
Okay, and what have you done about it?
Well, in Minnesota, sir, I prosecute crimes that are...
What have you done for Victoria
I'm
Harwell?
telling you about my jurisdiction.
I'm just telling you what you've done for
No,
Victoria
I'm
Harwell.
telling you about my
No,
jurisdiction.
but I didn't ask you a question about your jurisdiction. If I
has
did,
to-
you could answer that one, but I haven't. So just tell me about Victoria Harwell. Just tell me what maybe the answer is nothing, which is fine. Just tell me what you've done for Victoria Harwell.
We have done everything that the law allows us to do.
Okay. And she's an American citizen, right?
I assume so, yes.
You haven't even bothered to look into who she is?
No, sir. What I'm telling you is that I don't know, what her nationality is. It doesn't mean I don't know anything. It means I don't know that.
Well, thank you for your concern for the Harwell family. It's obviously pretty sad that the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota has not even bothered to understand who she is. And you haven't mentioned her in her testimony, but you certainly know who Renee Good and Alex Preddy are.
I do.
Yeah, so obviously your priorities are clearly obvious. Tell me about Temple Israel. What happened there?
Well, my dear friend of mine is the
That would be the answer to
lead
your question
rabbi at Temple
could
Israel.
Could you just answer my question, please?
Well, a lot of things happen there. Do you have something in mind you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, any particular incidents happen of
Well,
anti-Semitism?
there have been acts of anti-Semitism there.
What have you done about it?
Of which I oppose vigorously. We've supported local law enforcement in doing the right thing in those communities.
Victoria Harwell, you may not know who she is, but she was a Minnesota mother allegedly killed by a illegal immigrant in a drunk driving crash.
White House is slamming the Twin Cities for being a sanctuary jurisdiction for undocumented immigrants. It's in response to the recent arrest of an Ecuadorian national here illegally who is now accused of killing a Minneapolis woman in a head-on crash.
A Hennepin County jail spokesperson says that they had to release German Yangaria Inga last year because he was not criminally charged. And they say ICE detainer holds that are not signed by a judge are unconstitutional. The crash was brutal. Last August in North Minneapolis, 35-year-old German Yangaria Inga, an Ecuador national in the country illegally, crossed the center line at Lowry and James Avenue while allegedly driving drunk, unlicensed, and uninsured, and smashed into another driver head-on.
And following Keith Ellison's legal guidance, ignored detainer requests twice and let the suspect walk. So that's why he asked who she was. He didn't bother to learn about her case, but he knows all about the protesters who died during the immigration situation happened a couple weeks ago. And we can connect this back to Tim Walz because none of this happens without him. Ellison admitted that he can't prosecute without the governors assigning cases to him. Well, Tim Walz is the governor, and Walz hasn't assigned the biggest fraud cases in state history to his AG. Why? Maybe because, as Amy Bach claims, state officials knew about the Feeding Our Future fraud, maybe because the audit came back and showed that 90% of autism claims are suspicious, and instead of investigating the fraud, they just froze payments and bankrupted legitimate providers. Tim Walz set up a legal defense fund after Feeding Our Future scandal broke. Why does the governor need a legal defense fund if he didn't do anything wrong? Keith Ellison met with the fraudsters, took their money, and told them, I already have my team working on this. Both of these men let billions get stolen. Both of them let whistleblowers get ignored. Both of them let legitimate providers go bankrupt while fraudsters kept operating. And now when senators ask basic questions under oath, Keith Ellison can't answer them. When you look at it, the two main people that has caused the most damage to Minnesota is Tim Walz and Keith Ellison. The hearing you could watch on YouTube, it's embarrassing. It's disqualifying. And I do agree that I think Keith Ellison should resign. Him and Tim Walz need to be investigated. Too many things have gone wrong. Whistleblowers came forward and were ignored. The person who got in trouble for the Feeding Our Future fraud says that state officials knew and they did nothing. And we're getting legitimate providers going bankrupt. We're having people who with disabilities getting kicked out because of the fraud, all of the aftermath from the fraud. And there's still, again, alleged $9 billion stolen. And you have Keith Ellison saying, of course, we've done enough. No, you did not. This isn't just incompetence. This is corruption. And there's a lot of receipts that are there. So if you want to see the full hearing, just go online. You can check it out on YouTube. Go watch yourself and you can ask yourself, how are these people still in office? I do not know. I have no answer to that question. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.